Evening. Good afternoon, good morning, or good night, whatever tickles your fancy. It's the original Blue Man group of Pokemon. I am your non-ball drumming boy, Elite Four Will 23, and I got my homie with me. I'm just kidding, he's not blue. He isn't bald either, and his name is Dean, otherwise known as Cobalt 27. Say hello, Cobalt.
Hello. Cobalt technically is blue, so it kind of works.
My God, you are the blue man in the group. That's great. That's really good. The coincidences of my nonsense, along with the way the elements work, it's mathematical. Okay, back to business. We have 4 games, 4 matches, 8 coaches, 4 winners, 4 losers, 2 dudes, 1 video, 27 and 3/4 minutes to talk about it, and that's a lot of numbers. Dean, just go ahead and just tell them what's going on. Tell them what's happening.
Well, I guess our first match this week's just going to be Thomas facing off against Hurley, and just kind of going off what you were saying earlier, there is a little bit of a blue man group going for both teams on this one.
Right, Mr. Mime is totally blue man group. Graplocked is Mr. Blue Man group. If it's shiny Bisharp, which spoilers, it's not. It would totally be Blue Man group. We missed it by that much. Greatness was in our draft, and it's gone. Bronzong is a gong, though. He's a drum. That's good enough for me. They both picked the same avatar for this week.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is. I don't know. Maybe something funky was going on with Showdown there. They got logged out and hacked. But the 2 waifu characters from Gen 5 coming at you with some bulky teams. No surprise, really, to see what Hurley brought this week. Thomas has brought some extra thick. We got Corsola, Mantine, Hatterene, Obstagoon. That's a lot of natural bulk. Pretty good offense, and Excadrill with some bulky-esque typing, and then Mr. Mime, which is just the glass cannon. I think ice cannon works better now that he's had his typing update.
Mm-hmm.
He is the ice cannon here. How do you think that Thomas's team will match up with the classic Hurley roundup?
If anything's come to show, that Corsola has been a problem every week. It just does not die. Like you said, I guess a couple weeks ago, you can't kill what's already dead, but it just doesn't die.
Hollow eyes. They will take your entire soul and burp it out like a bologna sandwich after lunch.
It's interesting. It's interesting seeing Hatterene this week. Is this the first week that Thomas has brought it, or has he brought it in the past?
He's brought it in the past, but it's not really been any kind of major player. I think looking to this week, we'll see that it has more of an important role in just executing the game plan for this team. Hatterene is, like I said, a pretty bulky Pokemon, so you can kind of use it as a pivot, and in singles, it's good that way. We'll roll into this one. You guys will kind of see pretty quickly in the battle.
Well,
oh no!
I think I had hyperspeed.
You were ready for the memes, weren't you? I can't talk that fast. I can totally talk. But for God's sake, man, we'll just keep the rhythm slow for this little blue man group. Hit it again. Normal pace this time. Let's roll.
See the Mime lead against the Toxapex. Kind of easy switch for the Magic Bounce here.
It was a cool switch. I thought maybe you just take the offensive advantage there with the Mime using that Psychic Fighting and try to get some massive hits on Toxapex. Or even pressure it out. I guess Thomas was reading heavily onto that Toxic Spikes lead from the Toxapex, which was a really good switch in for Hatterene being the Magic Bounce Pokemon.
Seeing some pretty good switches so far on Thomas's part. Switching into the Earth Power.
Yeah, that was huge. Mantine's such a special bulk Pokemon, and then, like I said, the traditional Hurley roundup for this Pokemon for Colossal is special, as well as the Dragon Ball. Mantine has very little to fear here. Kind of have to question this switch in, though, into what was the potential for that Draco Meteor.
Yeah, I feel that Hatterene probably would have been a better switch in for that.
And possibly, yeah, very possibly. I don't know. It is what it is. Maybe he was expecting a pressured switch out, which would have been fine as well, right? It's hard to get a read on what Hurley's trying to work out. And here we see that Hatterene coming back in again. It's just a great, pivotal, bulky Pokemon to switch in on stuff that you just don't like to see.
Obstagoon coming in. I don't like to see that much damage coming off that early when you switch in for that Flame Orb to proc, but I mean, Obstagoon he's got enough bulk where he can live a lot of hits.
Very true. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was hoping for a psychic type attack and be able to sponge that without taking any damage on the Obstagoon. Kind of like a free switch in. Instead, you did get that pip damage and then as well as the residual damage from all the burn on that Guts Obstagoon. I think half of the rosters for both teams are now burned.
I believe you're right on that. I think the only exception to that's the Colossal. I think, yeah, because he came in on the poison.
Misery is over. Sleep well, you pile of rocks. Good night. Oh, it is blue! Oh my God, I forgot it's blue! Holy God, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Blue Man Group. It's all there. It's gonna bring you hits and some great Broadway entertainment. Okay, not really. I may have been a little dramatic, but there's a lot of red color in this game too for the Blue Man Group to be there. Got that burn on everything.
Seeing what, two back-to-back Cursed Body procs?
Ooh, it's a lot there. That Cursula, I feel sometimes as though it's kind of like Focus Blast. It procs its true form more than it says. The Cursed Body is supposed to just be 30% of the time, and it feels more like 50 or maybe even 60 for Thomas. It just works out so well to get rid of what he's afraid of, or the biggest, hardest hitting move onto the person. Hey, look, another burn.
So many burns.
Lots and lots of color. It's the rainbow, man. You're touching all of it. The cool thing about this is the magic bounce reflecting off the toxic spikes early in this game really did kind of play into a lot of residual damage for Hurley's team. Not only did the Colossal catch that poison on the switch in, the original poison, but Dragapult also did too. And both are going to ultimately pay the price with knocking out in part, the damage from poison. As of course, Stealth Rocks finishes that one off. And you got to wonder, maybe he could have switched the Toxapex in just a little earlier to soak up those poison spikes.
Yeah. I don't know why he stayed in so long when he kept trying to scald against the Mantine, but I mean, at this point he's revealed all his moves. He didn't have any offensive option to take it out.
It may be time to start switching up some sets. It's week 7, going into week 8. Now would be the time to throw a curveball and put something else on there. That's it. That was clean. That was a great win for Thomas. There was a lot of red color there, but I think Mantine finishing it off with 100% and finishing off the last 3 Pokemon in chain.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive. Well done to Mantine. We'll tip our hat to you, especially on hitting all of those hurricanes. Catching a Scald Burn. The odds were ever in your favor in these little Hunger Games, and Thomas's team comes out with the 6-0.
We'll just move on into the next game. It's my game against Nate.
Roll that D20. The beautiful bean footage. How did you feel about playing Nate before you get into this here? How is this matchup looking for you?
Every season, there are 2 matches that I always have a huge level of anxiety going into. One of those is yours, and the other one is Nate.
Understandable. Very understandable. It's not just because Nathan is an unnerving person. I mean, for God's sakes, we're bald blue drumming people. We don't get scared of much. But Nut, on the other hand, Mr. Gary was here. He can come up with some crazy stuff. He seems to find the holes. He is the cheese grater. I don't know how else to say, but what was the thing you were afraid of most, Dean, here, just seeing the team lineup?
I mean, the work that it's put in the last several weeks, that Indeedee was really scary to me. But
right.
At the same time, I had built something specifically to deal with it.
To reveal what that is, no spoilers. If you want to talk about it a little later on, of course, that would be great. There's not a whole lot on your team that can, one, outspeed regular Indeedee. You got Galvantula, you got, Barraskewda. Those two Pokemon are pretty quick, but, Choice Scarf Indeedee, that even cuts Galvantula out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Barraskewda may just be barely, depending on how you got it built. I don't know how the spreads work out, but just be barely faster.
My concern building for it was not to outspeed it, just to live the hit and kill it.
Yeah, that's a good game plan. That's usually how this all works out. And for me to kind of overlook that very basic and primitive point of Pokemon, you'll have to excuse me. That's the game winner right there, Nadine. You gotta live the hit and punch it back and win. That's the game. Roll your dice, move your mice. Speaking of rolling dice and moving mice, let's see what this Morpeko does. No.
Fortunate. Was not expecting the sash there.
That was neat, wasn't it? I didn't see that coming either. That was kind of nutty.
I wasted Barraskewda.
Bless him, Lord. Take him to fishy heaven where he belongs. He does not deserve to live on this mortal plane anymore. Sirfetch'd will guard his grave now.
Just the psychic in the terrain just hurts so much.
Yes, and that was probably a very thick Runerigus.
Yeah, he was really thick.
Defense is a priority for him, and defense is great too. So you're not afraid to get that defense up. You're hitting the iron defense repeated. Yes, yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I went a little different with Runerigus' item this week. I felt that
fancy resto.
Yeah, I wanted to try to build him as bulky as possible for that strategy. I mean, body press is just a really good move for him.
It is, and for Nathan to know that body press or fighting type moves were a problem for Ferrothorn, and putting the Chople on there, that's neat. I wasn't ready for that. The whole combination of what you guys were working with there was definitely off color.
Poor Dottler.
Yeah, D20 didn't roll very far. It got kicked.
Now this was my counter for Indeedee this week.
Ferrickson.
Yeah, he was
Leaf Erickson.
He was an interesting EV spread. I'll get more into the details later on, but
Gurgen.
there was a lot of damage calculation going to account for him.
I love getting intricate spreads, so please do tell if you feel led to. If not, that's fine. A man's got to keep his secrets. But Berserker last week was big for you, so why not try to make it 2 in a row?
Yeah.
A good boy.
An unfortunate burn there for Sirfetch'd. This dang Danger Noodle.
We were talking about the Cursula getting that curse body to proc. Flame body has the exact same percentage, and it just seems like if you had a secondary effect from your ability like that, you were getting it this week. That was the time to do it. Like that. There's a critical hit. Imagine that.
Man, it's not like I'm running a leak on it or anything.
Wait a minute. You were holding a stick. You were holding a stick the whole time?
Well, yeah.
I'm reporting you to the authorities.
Man.
Is that a cop? I'm called the weed.
Unfortunately, Berserker just couldn't do anything because it's Arcanine. It's just too fat.
Well, and the Intimidate really just cripples it too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now may be the time. Let's talk about some spreads here. Oh wait. Actually, hold on just a minute, because here comes the floaty boy, and he is not going away quietly. He says, "I see your dog and raise you one juiced dog."
Honestly, I'm surprised that the Cinescorch lived that at the end.
Yeah,
Consider,
for sure.
considering its assault vest was knocked off a couple turns ago.
Exactly. Now I have a question: was the Rotom scarfed?
No, he was Specs actually.
Really? Okay, that's good to know. I think maybe couldn't have lived the Indeedee, but getting that KO there for differential purposes onto the Centiskorch would have been really nice, and just missed that margin by 2%, man. That's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the spread.
Okay, so what I ran into, what was it on the Indeedee female Mystical Fire doing way too much damage to me.
Yes.
So this Berserker was max attack, max special defense, assault vest.
Okay. Okay.
At best, Mystical Fire was only going to do about 35 to 40%, and an Iron Head would have KO'd.
Wow. Spread. That's gonna definitely do it. You take the hits and knock out what you got hit by. That's it. You did it. Credits. I wish it would have happened. I do, because Berserker's been a good boy. He's been a good lad. That was it's a lot closer than I think. Even through doing commentary and watching this again for a multiple time. That was a pretty close game, Dean. I have nothing to hang your head on that one. That was just well played. I think maybe some odd spreads on Pokemon like the Centiskorch, or certain items like the Chople on the Ferrothorn were more of a defining difference in this particular match than we give credit for so far. But, very well played, both of you guys, man. Congratulations on that. Even though you got the loss, that was a close one, and you played well through what you had a little bit of anxiety going into. You did well.
Thank you.
No problem, man. So Nathan picking up a 2-0 win there, just by a narrow margin on that Centiskorch hanging on. That'll be it for game number 2.
We're going. Game 3 is your game against Russell this week.
This is a fun one because I don't know. I didn't really have a good game plan going in for Russell. I was expecting a lot of different things, namely 2 in particular. I thought Frostmoth would be there. It's kind of been a staple for Russell's team so far this season. As well as Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr's been there all the time. Instead, we've got some different things. Ice Cube, which we've seen a couple times. Rillaboom, which we've seen a few times. I think it's been on the team, but not done a whole lot every time. And then Braviary. Wow, I was not ready for Braviary.
This is just the first time we've seen the Braviary, or has he brought it before?
Very possibly. Now, don't quote me on that because I just don't recall it's been overshadowed if it's been brought.
Right.
There's been one of these teams that have been just incredible, like the Ice Cube, like the Frostmoth, like Melodic, like Conkeldurr. But if Braviary's been sneaking in there, then he's had his hands cuffed so far. I mean, his claws taped, his wings clipped. I mean, something else going on for the American legend. This time, it could be his week to shine. I was not okay with seeing in the roster, as well as Dracozolt, Haxorus, Melodic. I mean, all of those are just, I don't know. I was not expecting this particular lineup. Russell brought his A game for this one. It was shaping up to be a good game just off the lead preview.
He's got, not just this team preview, but every week he has a scary team show up. When you click that challenge box for him, it's always something that you don't want to look at.
There's some daunting things there. I mean, if you look at just the setup potential, if it's competitive Melodic, that's hard to get rid of. If it's Dragon Dance, Haxorus, that's hard to get rid of. Banded, Scarfed, regardless, any of those. That Ice Cube with the belly drum, if you don't play right around that, you just lose. Scarf on the Dracozolt, excuse me, I'll get it right eventually. Scarf Dracozolt, it wins games. Braviary, oh my god. Oh man. Is Braviary as good since Dynamax has been removed from the format? Maybe not. But is it still just a daunting presence, especially since it's had so many move buffs this generation? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, American legend. That's freedom right there. Donald Trump was reincarnated as a Pokemon in Mystery Dungeon DX, release coming March 2020. It would be at Braviary. or Whiskatch. Nope, no, gumshoes.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd have to be gumshoes.
Yeah, four-man group. We got to dial it back in. So I had to bring a little bit more of an unconventional team. I didn't bring the T-Tar this week. I didn't bring a couple of the Pokemon that I really grown close to. This seemed to me, when I finished it, as there was no Quagsire, right? Looking at this one, I was like, this is more of a hyper-offensive team with one pivotal Pokemon. Play my cards right, or I'm going to lose. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized, hey, that's playing Russell's team this season anyways.
Yeah.
Sure, he had some rocky points, just like the rest of us. We had some rocky games. But, I'm like, it doesn't matter. If he plays his A game, I'll have to dance around it very carefully, and things will have to happen. Some spoilers here, a few minutes prematurely, but there are some crazy things that happen. So, unstatistically probable Pokemon plays in this particular game. Early on, late on, just check it out.
Getting going.
Oops. Ouch.
Yeah.
Thank God that wasn't it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I guess I mentioned to you earlier, it was interesting seeing the Shadow Claw brought. Would not have expected that.
Braviary as a lead. When I have Pokemon on this team like Inteleon and Heliolisk, he just straight up leads with the Freedom Bird. Thank God for the thickness of Dusclaw. I mean, really.
That's ridiculous. Even without the Eviolite, he's living some pretty hefty hits.
He played well there, getting rid of that as quickly as possible with the Rillaboom. That's one of the few Pokemon that still get access to knockoff, and it was well done. I don't know. I was revealed the overheat early. That was my spicy tech. I thought maybe I would see Ice Cube come in on the physical Cinderace, because I've not brought any special moves on Cinderace so far this season. I was trying to or just go ahead and catch the Rillaboom straight off the bat. Fortunately, Heliolisk comes in and gets set up and start doing some damage.
Start screaming.
Boy, scream.
Just surprised that Haxorus even lived that.
Yeah, I had to be a little sneaky too then afterwards. I hated seeing Heliolisk go down because that was a major answer from Melodic. Good thing I brought a couple of grass types with me this week. And then, God, I got so lucky on that flinch with the Dark Pulse. It was the best play I had. It was that, sack Inteleon, get the Dark Pulse kill, whatever I had to do. It just kind of worked out in my favor. That's one of those 30% chance proccing moves. Dragon Tail is only 70% accurate. Hydro Pump is only 80% accurate.
Yeah.
Will-O-Wisp is only like 80% accurate. How many missed moves are there in this game?
Well, there goes another overheat.
So many things have missed. What is going on? Never mind. We're back to normal.
And there's not even any sand blowing around, so you can't blame it on that.
Yeah, there's no secondary effects of weather or any kind of evasion dropped or raises. There's nothing going on here to where that many moves should have missed. Yeah, that's just RNG playing at you, man. Yeah, we didn't light a candle in the Santa Cristo de RNGesus, and that's what we get. So.
Overall, it was it was mostly well played on both parts. I mean, obviously you coming out with the win. I mean, Russell hung in there for a while. I mean, he did good.
Yeah, I think so. One quick thing we were talking about after the game, I thought was really cool. Just Russell and I both brought more or less unconventional sets on two Pokemon that at a pivotal point late in the match had a showdown that it could have went either way. It could have been the thing that changed the match for Russell, and it made me have to play out of a hole. It was the fact that I had 100% health on Cinderace, and he was an Assault Vest set with only like 4 EVs into the investment on the special thing with an Adamant Nature. That means that his Melodic set, which was also more or less unconventional, it was max special attack, max HP, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Quiet Nature. The Melodic hitting a Hydro Pump there had a 56% chance at one hit KOing the Cinderace.
Wow.
missed. So the odds were barely in Russell's favor, but they were. And then the chance of the missed move was bad. Like I said, so many missed moves in that game. It was unfortunate. That particular time, I think it was important for Russell. If he could have hit that move, it could have been a lot harder for me to play out of that. That's how close that game was. Just a very specific instance there.
It's crazy to, like I guess in last week's match where we did the calcs on the Berserker 11 against the Salazzle. I mean, sometimes it's just the roll.
It sure is, yeah. That's the RNGesus coming through the sky with the sign of Quagsire with a paw up saying, "Buy this, conquer." And that's it, man. That's it. Time for the preview match, the prime time showdown. Who we got?
Got Trey on the left and Mark on the right, and Trey's been playing really good this season, but Mark's had some unusual sets that have worked out well in his favor.
Mark has had kind of a rocky road this season so far. I really like the stuff he's bringing, and sometimes, like I mentioned just in that last game, it's just a fraction of a set, right? You were just talking about it with the Berserker. You bring the right stuff, you give yourself the right tools, you bring things that people can't plan for. Sometimes you pull out the win for him. It's just a matter of time before he gets his next one for the same reasons. Let's see if this particular game is the one where he gets one.
If the Appliance versus the Lizard, don't think that's going to work out too well.
No, we had to get Pie. If it was Rotom Heat, then that Pie would have been a little more scared, but it's not. It's the washing machine. It's no problem. Cherry stains are no joke. Hurt, right? That hurt.
Yeah.
Catching the Moonblast was better than catching a Pollen Puff or a Bug Buzz, though. I don't know what all that Remark was packing. We don't get to see its full set every week, but in that particular scenario, it could have been bad. It could have been real bad for Indeedee.
Yes. It's interesting. I was watching Appleton tank the hits that it does each week. But then also dropping, over 2/3 of something's health in a Draco Meteor.
Start talking about Avalugg here, that massive defense, and maybe not so massive special defense. It's really not that great special defensively, but its HP makes up the difference. So you're right.
Avalugg.
Help me out here, Dean. It's left me. Thank you, Appleton, to come in and to do its thing, taking hits and then dishing out that much damage. That is nothing to scoff at. It takes so much abuse and still produces. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. How about the moveset packed on that there, Halacha?
There's some interesting moves there.
I wish maybe there was something better for the Rotom in that particular instance, but I think he packed something for everything else on the team. You only have so many move slots, guys. You get the syndrome. All right, pause it. Pause this. Walk me through what just happened.
Back
it up here. Okay. One more.
We see the Durant come in, right?
Yes.
And we see the Focus Sash here, right?
Yes.
And then we see the Entrainment. Now, I think Mark admitted this after the fact that he thought that Entrainment worked like Skill Swap.
Weird, right? You usually do see skill swap. How often do we see Entrainment, Dean, in the competitive world of Pokemon? We don't. It doesn't happen. So I have to mark on that one. I didn't know that it didn't.
Yeah.
I thought it was like skill swap, but it's a unique move in the fact that it doesn't remove your ability, does it?
Nope.
It kicks in. We get the next turn, and it is loafing for both of these doofy-looking boys.
They're just chilling. They're just hanging around.
Yeah, I can imagine hanging out with Dracovish. Look at that thing. Yeah, we'll eat some Doritos and watch some Rick and Morty. Me and old Vish there. Ivan Draco. Got it left. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate that thing. It was a showdown of the dragons at one point, and now it still is. Why are all these dragons here?
What are you talking about? I only see one dragon on this side of the map.
There's a pie right there. And
But what do you think I was talking about? Charizard?
Salazzle's he's a Dargan, or she's a Dargan. She's the Harem Dragon. And
Charizard just slowly getting his health sucked away.
likes it though. That's what he wants.
Mark playing very well in the stall game right here, burning up his Charizard with the Leech Seed.
I think Salazzle's a glass cannon. That is incorrect, sir. This is Salazzle doing what it wants. Poisoning you with its love and watching you fade away slowly.
I mean, just watch. I mean, it's doing so much stuff right there with the Protect substitute setup.
It's hard to watch, isn't it? But it does what it does, and it does it well. Buzz Killington taking the L there as Salazzle gets the free switch in just to click that protect. And bye-bye, Ivan Draco. We'll eat Doritos and watch some Netflix some other time. Sure.
Rode him. Just rode him.
It's been here since turn one. It's going to see it through to the end.
Gotta get those hard to clean stains.
I want to Shindered.
Nani?
Got him. Nani. And then washer noises. Yeah, I'll tell you yet. But very well played on both sides. That was a kind of a, I know it just says 33 turns and we've had lengthier games, but that one felt long, man. It was back and forth. There were some really well done plays on both sides. Kind of making each other sweat a little bit. Maybe need that washer to clean out the sweat stains.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was our previewed game of the week, man. I feel like it was well deserved in the highlight spot. That was a goodie.
Yeah, it was. And both coaches seemed like they prepped fairly decently for each other. You mind the move for entrainment. I mean, as fun as that was, I mean that maybe wasn't the best idea, but I can see what Mark might have been thinking on it.
If for nothing else, the social justice of taking away the power of Dracovish for an entire turn and just watching it loaf there.
Yeah.
That's for me. I think that's one for the album. You know, Mom Get the Camera. The Kodak moment for everyone, just to see loafing around coming off of that Dracovish for just one small turn. The abomination has been fouled. Well done, Mark. Didn't get the win this week, guys. This is week 7, as I mentioned before. We've got weekday games coming up. There will be some more conference rematches throughout the weeks, and we'll have more games to be going forward as the rest of the season kind of picks up steam going into the playoffs. But we're officially in the second half of the season, and these games, like this one you just watched, are more pivotal towards who's going to be in your playoffs, who's going to be competing for that ultimate championship in the main tournament. It's going to be big. Games like this where you got close contenders with even records or just barely positive records or barely negative records and some tight differentials. These games, every mon counts. It's going to have to go a long way towards the stretch at the end of the season.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of this conference rematches starting maybe this week. I don't know if there's any rematches or not, but I know the conference play is going to start, like you were saying, for the weekday games.
Sir, they'll start trickling in. We'll get a couple of matches every week to where there will be rematches within conference play. Guys that have already had to see their teams on the field of battle against them will get their chance at redemption for the first time. Now, there's only one rematch for each conference team, so those will have to be watched very carefully. You get one shot at either just asserting your dominance once again or claiming again the rematch to break even with your opponent. Conference play is where it's at, guys. There's a lot of games there as far as towards your overall record and making sure that you get yours out of those 4 to 5 games just within your conference. It's important. It's important.
I guess one last thing before we try to wrap this up. We have the MVP results for the first 6 weeks of play.
Yeah, I'd like to quickly roll through that with you guys there. Of course, week 1, if you guys have checked on the site here, was our Mr. HM586 Hunter. His Sandacana for week 1, back when we had GMAX still allowed in the league. He hit that GMAX button, and Sandacana was just too thick, man. He did so well playing that Pokemon out and using it to secure the win 5-0. Very well deserved. Week 2, Dean, you remember who we got for week 2?
We have Corviknight for week 2. Again, for another one of Hunter's Pokemon, and I want to feel that, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I feel that it might have been the reason that Mark dropped Ditto.
At that point in the season, there were so many dynamic changes with Dynamax starting to fall out. There were things looking forward with the rest of the season to where Ditto just didn't have as much viability. But if you guys know a little bit about Ditto, when it kicks on imposter form, it only gets 5 PP power points for 1 move if it's choice locked, like it was. And that just wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for Mark to even make a dent into Hunter's Corviknight before it could get set up. The closest I think it got was around 20% HP before it just roosted right back up.
Yeah.
It allowed for Hunter to get a fairly painless 6-0 victory, and Corviknight was the main ingredient in that recipe for victory.
Week 3, Hunter didn't sneak one in this time.
Yeah, he had to play Thomas that week, and that was a really tough matchup. He just barely scooted by with a +2 on that week. That was when we had a new star arise. Nate played Trey that week. Mr. Gary was here, played Saber Shogun, and the game was pretty rocky at the beginning. It was hard to say who's going to come out of that one with the W. And then what happened, Dean?
Well, indeed he showed up and just decided to clean the room.
Was that Choice Scarf Psychic Terrain, clicking Psychic, sweeping the field? I think he got a 5-0 sweep there towards the end of the game.
Just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
That in pocket, yeah. It's a lot of power. It's Male Ndidi too. We don't see Male Ndidi as much, do we?
No, as heavily focused as most actual official tournaments are. Female Ndidi has been more of a showing where it's more of a support Pokemon.
See something so, excuse me, testosterone boosted as a hyper offensive Choice Scarf, max special attack, psychic terrain boosted Male Ndidi for him, just sweeping and cleaning up the rest of the team after maybe some chip damage and some positioning was performed by the rest of Nathan's team against Trey. Very well earned, great Pokemon for that week. It was extremely, of course, pivotal to the win. So well done to Nathan's Ndidi in week 3 for earning the MVP.
And week 4, we've got one of your own this week coming off.
Yeah. The dichotomy of apple cores there. If you're going to have a core in your team, it needs to be an apple core. Give me that Flapply.
And you came in on the Eldegoss, just set up and just wasn't scared of anything at that point, was it?
He was in a good position after that. Maybe a bit of a misplay on Hunter's part. Hunter playing very well. He hadn't lost yet the season so far. And if I hadn't had Flapple there in that particular time to do those particular things, I couldn't have won. It was the clear MVP choice for me and helped me get a big win against a very good opponent that week in week 4.
Now to kind of quench your thirst after having all these apples, I mean, we got a Poltergeist coming in for week 5.
I think here again is a testament to how good Hunter's team is. He's obviously second place, third place. He's up there in the top three. Maybe coming off this bye week, he's dropped a little bit. I think he is now he's in third place coming out of week 7, just barely to Thomas. Hunter's had a phenomenal season. He's had some phenomenal plays. He's got a great differential overall. And part of that's because, he's got MVP Pokemon. He got Sandaconda week 1, Corviknight week 2. Had some contenders along the way. And then this week in week 6 week 5, had a Poltegeist sweep. He set up with a Focus Sash, Shell Smash, Weak Armor, Poltegeist, and was clicking Stored Power like it was going out of style. Cleared the room. 5 Pokemon gone. Poltegeist didn't even bat an eye. That's thirst quenching.
It's just, looking at it coming in, before the games even were released, it was kind of neat seeing it, but we would have never figured it was going to do this.
Chandelure on steroids.
Yeah.
The setup potential for Poltegeist in singles is great. It's a good Pokemon. Now, you asked me to tell you the difference between that and the fancy set. I got no idea. I couldn't pick out that little sticker on the bottom to save my life. I have no idea. But this Poltegeist in particular, that was fancy. It pulled out the win, earned the MVP spot wholeheartedly. 6. Here we go. Remember that preview, the major showing of that battle last week between Dean and Mark? Yeah, that one that came down to like 2% of health on one Pokemon at the end? Yeah. Well, guess which one won the unanimous decision for voting and MVP? Across the board with the entire group, I think Dean the Berserker earned it. Would you like to say a little bit about that good old Leif Erikson cat?
I mean, like I've said several times, I didn't like him when I first saw him, but I wanted to make him work. And I think this is the first game I brought him, and he put in plenty of work for that game.
Sure did. Yeah, it definitely, I think, clinched it for you. He did well. Yeah, just the combination of that with the neat EV spreads. This Pokemon has come out of its shell and done well for you, man. You've made it work. I want to see what you do with it with the second half of the season here. With conference play, it's the weird Pokemon. It's the bulky Pokemon that fill up the margin and get you the win. So I think Berserker will be pivotal to you for the rest of the season. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel that he's pretty much solidified his place on the team. I mean, I don't see me getting rid of him. I mean, I'm going to have to figure out some more fun things to do with him, but those are my secrets for now.
Yes, of course, to keep your secrets. Now, like I said, I think a lot of Pokemon in this league maybe not have been showcased and kind of been overshadowed by the offensive variants of other Pokemon, or even just an offensive set. If it has bulk potential, it's going to be huge coming up forward, because you have to provide breathing room for those sweeping Pokemon in the second half of the season, once everybody's not only figured out their own teams, but they've started to figure out everyone else's. So definitely keep those Berserker sets in your back pocket and bring them out when you need to get some of those key wins going forward the rest of the season.
I guess. Well, anything else? That's pretty much going to cut it for this week. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning back in with us, putting up with us for these last 7 weeks. Hopefully you stay tuned with us, connect with us. I mean, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from anybody that's watching the videos. Our emails on our website. Check that out at ultimatepokemonchampionship.com. Eventually I'm going to get a public Discord server set up for anybody that wants to just join in and chat with us. But no, just comment below. What? Go ahead, Will.
No, I was just going to say, that's your big release right there. I mean, we're running to the metaphorical mailbox and looking in for any kind of letter. It's like Blue's Clues up here. You know, if you haven't noticed the thing here, it is blue. We are blue because we haven't heard from you. We want to get some comments and emails. Reach out to us through the site, anywhere you want to, okay? We're looking forward to it, because these shenanigans are not meant to be kept to to ourselves. Blue Man Group needed to get out there. We got to play our drums for everyone. So, yeah, get in touch with us. We want to hear. Like, comment, subscribe, make your presence known.
Without further ado, we'll catch you guys later.
Hasta lasagna.